Good afternoon, everybody. Voyage, journey, travel, vacation, or just out of the country. Where were you coming from? When was the last time anybody went outside the United States? Was it a vacation or a business? And how and what was your experience like when you're coming back in the United States? And the first person you probably see when you come back to the United States is as an authority from the United States as Customs and Border Protection officers. And their mission is to protect the United States. They are the guardians of the nation's border, and they save the United States, safeguard the United States from homeland and beyond the borders. They protect the United States public against terrorists and the instruments of terror. And they also take care of the trade. And they serve for the American public with vigilance, integrity, and professionalism. And when you say a border, especially around here, I have heard that myself many times when I walked around in my uniform. And actually, a couple of guys in this class was very like, Customs and Border Protection. Where are the borders? Well, in the United States, we have 5,000 miles in Canada. All this up here, and partially is the water. And our southwest border with Mexico, almost 2,000 miles. Pretty much equivalent to a Great China Wall. And there are 326 port of entries. Port of entries is the official entry points for the United States. That's including airports, seaports, and land border port of entries. I searched and I could not find out how many miles of water is the border for the United States. And that is one of the reasons I'm here, and I hear that a lot. Look how much border that Florida has. And that is why myself and several of my officers over here. But we do actually work out of Port of Canaveral. That is a port of we call it POE. That's why it's kind of stuttering. Is so used to calling it POE and trying to spell it out. And anything in between is taken care of by these guys. They are the U.S. Customs Border Patrol. They are actually the ones that Border Patrol. They wear green uniform versus my blue uniform. And as you see, Mexico and United States. We do, a certain part of the United States do have a fence. Someplace we only have a 3-strand barbed wire separating us and them. Before I go into actually why I want to tell you about this, and I just want to also tell you about our job. Customs and Border Protection is for deterring and intercepting the terrorism. That is our #1 mission since 9/11. The Customs and Border Protection became in place after 9/11. Prior to that, we were 3 different agencies combined. Now it's combined as a CBP. Again, Customs and Border Protection. It used to be Immigration, who did the passport entry checks, and then there was Customs, who did actually trades and goods inspections. And the other third party is called AQI, or Agricultural Officers, and those guys were actually checked the food or animals and Actually, they have a very, very interesting job. A lot more detailed than some of us, the Customs and Border Protection officers. They are actually called specialists. And our next mission is deterring and intercepting smugglings. We try to stop people and narcotics, again, the trade in the goods and coming in. If I was actually going through further in that detail, that would be a lot more. That's another subject to discuss. So today, I want to talk to you guys about the Western Hemisphere Travel Initiative. That's also came in shortly after 9/11. This is the standardized documentation and the procedure of the traveler coming into the United States. But this, we call it shortly, it's a WEDI. Again, we as a government agency prefer a lot of shortcuts, and WEDI is the way we make it easier for us, and it's kind of make it hard to explain for others, or when civilians, when we say that WEDI, they don't know exactly what we're talking about. But Western Hemisphere Travel Initiative. And it's for U.S. citizen and Canadian travelers to present themselves with a proper documents, authorized documents from us and the Canada. The goal of the meeting is to facilitate the travel and standardize and to strengthen the borders. If you're traveling by air, you're going to need a passport. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen of the United States or any other country. But WEDI is mostly trying to guide our citizens, because until 9/11, any travel document, not that many travel documents were required through the nation. And we finally started trying to get it standardized to put them in make it easier and more secure for the country. And also, either way, if traveling with the land border, these call it bridges with many vehicles and the long lines. And this is actually the primary of a land line. And if you're cruising, and it's one of the best and easiest way to travel, more fun. We'll talk about that a little later on. Again, there's a primary and some lines, but not as bad as sitting in the vehicle. Traveling with air, like I said, you do need a passport, and it's a citizen of the United States or Canadians. And if you're coming from Canada, Mexico, and Caribbean and Bermuda Islands, you must present valid passport. There's details out further than that one, but if anyone interested about how to get a passport, we'll discuss that later on. All right. Exception to procedures or policies for passport is for the members of the United States military. They must be on orders as they're going travel without the passport. If they're on vacation without the leave form, that also requires a passport. And then U.S. Merchant Marines, they're a totally different group. They have their own identification cards. And since they are strictly U.S. citizens, we already know that. Our government knows that. So we don't require a passport for them, but they must present their U.S. Merchant Marine cards. And there are a couple of other cards I'm going to be talking to you, and then a few other slides. But passports, again, right here is U.S. passport. And this is one of the most updated passports with the reader chip in it where it can be electronically. Oh. And it's Canadian passports. And this is where you can get your information for passports. And these are the other documents that I was telling you guys about. There's U.S. passport cards. But this is a limited card. You cannot travel or fly with that card. Passport is for flying, but not with a passport card. You can also travel with some of the very few states. Some of the very few states that you can actually travel with the enhanced driver license. And these are limited cards that for businesses, employees on businesses that works on both sides. And one of the worst one is right here. Birth certificate and a picture ID is allowed to go cruising with. But when you're outside the United States, these don't mean anything. And coming back, you have to go to the United States consulate to get that. To get a letter from them saying they're allowing you to come back to the United States because you do not have a passport. And resident aliens, resident aliens must have their resident card along with their passports, because outside the United States, these cards don't mean anything to other countries. So their passports accompanies that to make sure they're safe. And here's a couple of aliens. Actually, this is the first. I'll get used to this. These two gentlemen are actually the space aliens, and this is Neil Armstrong's the Declaration of coming to the United States.
Hassan, you need to close down.
And speed up.
Your time is up.
Close.
Oh.
Conclusion.
It's the inspections, the secondary inspection, and this is all the tips for how to come in the United States. And this is a Port Canaveral, soon to be the best Port Canaveral, and we have special. Oh. And very special person comes through there every so often. And there's somewhere the Bahamas come to again the good times in Bahamas. And now you know the rules and regulation of the CBP procedures. Now, coming from a foreign country, now you can be more prepared and you got an idea how the border inspection works and what the CBP's mission is all about. And I hope you all will be able to make your trip a little faster and convenient for yourselves next time. Thanks.